In the annals of military history, a select few names are spoken with awe. In the skies, we have the Red Baron, Manfred von Richthofen, and the Black Devil, Erich Hartmann, the world's most famous flying aces. However, the title of ace is not just reserved for warriors of the sky. Sometimes it is used to honor the most talented tank commanders on the ground. The man in today's video is one such legend, recognized as one of the greatest Panzer Aces of the German army during the Second World War. A commander who once destroyed 14 tanks, 15 armored vehicles, and 2 anti-tank guns in just 15 minutes. A man who built such a formidable reputation that Allied nations competed for the credit of finally taking him down. Military Summary is proud to introduce to you the story of Michael Wittmann, the legendary Black Baron of Germany's armored forces. Before we begin our journey, your support is essential. Every like and subscription to our channel is a great motivation for us to improve our content every day and bring you the highest quality videos. Now, let's begin. Michael Wittmann was born in Bavaria in 1914, during the early days of World War I. He spent his adolescence helping his parents on their farm. At the age of 19, Wittmann performed his compulsory military service like most young Germans of his time. By 1937, after 4 years in the army, he found a new calling. 2 years later, just before the outbreak of World War II, Wittmann decided to join the most elite unit of the Waffen-SS, the Leibstandarte SS Adolf Hitler, LSSAH. This unit was famous for its iron discipline and fanatical loyalty. The LSSAH consisted of carefully selected volunteers in peak physical condition who swore absolute obedience to Hitler. In peacetime, the unit acted as the Führer's personal bodyguard, protecting the head of state and his residences. When Germany invaded Poland on September 1, 1939, the Leibstandarte acted as a spearhead of the attack. Here, Wittmann became a skilled driver in an armored reconnaissance vehicle, a perfect start that laid the foundation for the birth of a great tank commander. Wittmann continued in this role through the invasions of France. By the end of 1941, Hitler's army had dominated Europe and began to turn its attention eastward. On June 22, 1941, Operation Barbarossa officially began. Initially, the German attack was overwhelmingly successful. However, the Eastern Front was far different from previous campaigns. As part of a leading reconnaissance unit, Wittmann's job was to guide armored vehicles through the seemingly endless and dangerous territory of the Soviet Union on the way to Kiev. It is important to note that the LSSAH was also responsible for committing heinous war crimes on the Eastern Front, including the massacre of Jews and political commissars. While Wittmann's direct participation in these atrocities is debated by historians, his career is inseparable from the fanatical ideology of the unit he served. A few weeks later, Wittmann first tasted the true wrath of the Soviet Red Army. Near a village west of Kiev, a Soviet T-34 tank was advancing towards his unit. The T-34 was a dangerous opponent, possessing sloped armor, high mobility, and a powerful 76.2 millimeter gun. By this time, Wittmann was no longer just a driver. He was ordered to take command of a Stu G3 assault gun to gather reconnaissance on the enemy's attack. He drove the vehicle to a high point to observe the enemy's advance. What followed was a baptism of fire and steel, from which the legendary tank commander known as the Black Baron was born. He spotted 2 groups of T-34s advancing, 6 from the northeast and 12 from the east. Wittmann knew he had to act quickly. The Stu G3 had no turret, and its gun had poor elevation, making it a difficult weapon to use in a dynamic fight. He was ordered not to fire until a proper defense was organized. But in a display of the aggression that would define his career, Wittmann disobeyed. He maneuvered the Stu G into a better ambush position. As the lead Soviet tank crossed a hill, his crew fired and scored a direct hit. 2 more T-34s charged. Wittmann's gunner blew one up, but his Stu G was pushed back into a forest by the fierce assault. Dodging enemy shells by a hair's breadth, he destroyed a 3rd T-34 before taking a shot to the side. It wasn't enough to stop the Black Baron. He ordered his driver to turn, giving the gunner a chance to respond and take down the fourth opponent. In total, Wittmann and his crew single-handedly destroyed 6 tanks in just a few minutes, playing a significant role in breaking the Red Army's attack. For his outstanding performance, Wittmann was awarded the Iron Cross, second class, and was sent back to Germany for training as an SS officer. He graduated with the rank of lieutenant and was given command of a Tiger I. This was the moment that changed everything, when the Germans placed one of the most powerful tanks in the world into the hands of a man who would quickly prove himself to be one of the greatest tank commanders of all time. They created a formula for destruction. By the summer of 1943, as the tide began to turn against the Nazis in the east, Wittmann had already destroyed 25 T-34s and 28 anti-tank guns. In July of that year, he had the perfect stage to showcase his extraordinary talent. The Battle of Kursk, the greatest tank battle in world history. After the defeat at Stalingrad, Germany was on the defensive. Hitler decided to launch Operation Citadel, a massive counterattack at Kursk, mobilizing nearly 800,000 troops, 3,000 tanks, and 10,000 artillery pieces. However, due to dense Soviet defenses and a powerful counteroffensive, Germany failed and was never able to launch a major strategic attack on the Eastern Front again. But that didn't stop the Black Baron. Despite being heavily outnumbered, Wittmann led his platoon of 5 Tiger tanks into a deadly melee around Kursk, charging straight into the T-34 lines and their supporting artillery. His elite crew overwhelmed the Red Army, even as their Tiger's frontal armor was pounded by artillery shells. On the first day of fighting alone, his Tiger suffered a direct hit from a Soviet tank, and 12 artillery hits yet survived. Wittmann's success was based on the excellent teamwork of his crew and his own superior skills. He gave clear orders to each crew member while maintaining perfect situational awareness in the heat of combat. During the non-stop fighting of the campaign, he and his crew destroyed or damaged another 30 tanks and 28 anti-tank guns. His greatest moment, however, was yet to come. After a promotion and receiving the Knight's Cross with oak leaves directly from Hitler, Wittmann's journey was far from over. On June 6, 1944, the Allies landed in Normandy, France, opening a new front and setting the stage for Wittmann's most magnificent performance. His unit arrived at the front line near the French town of Villers-Bocage. On the morning of June 13, 1944, Wittmann spotted the lead elements of the British 7th Armored Division advancing into the town, completely exposed. This was a situation that would make most commanders pause, but the Black Baron saw an opportunity. With no time to gather his company, Wittmann made a bold, almost suicidal decision. He took his single Tiger tank and charged head-on into the center of the British formation. In a furious 15-minute rampage, he drove parallel to the column, firing at every tank, half-track, and armored vehicle in sight. The surprise attack caused a wave of panic among the British forces, leaving them with no space to maneuver and nowhere to run. He single-handedly burned a Cromwell, a Sherman Firefly, and numerous armored carriers. He then advanced into the town of Villers-Bocage itself. However, his luck eventually ran out. Inside the town, the Black Baron's Tiger had its tracks disabled by an Allied anti-tank gun. But he and his crew did not escape. They stayed and continued to fire their 88mm cannon, while the vehicle was motionless in an extremely exposed position, taking out several more enemy vehicles. In just 15 short minutes, the Black Baron's single Tiger had destroyed 14 tanks, 15 armored trucks, and 2 anti-tank guns. After the tank was completely disabled, Wittmann and his crew abandoned it and ran back to German lines. His superiors could hardly believe the report, but the twisted, burning metal lining the road to Villers-Bocage proved his story. In total, his company destroyed 27 Allied tanks that day, a record for a single unit in one day, and his actions helped prevent the strategic town from falling for 2 more months. This battle brought Michael Wittmann to the peak of his career. He became a hero of the Third Reich. He could have retired to a training school, but instead he chose to return to the front. In early August 1944, the Allies were ready to break out from Caen. Wittmann's unit was tasked with delaying the advance of over 300 Allied tanks. A British officer called the German decision to counterattack on August 8th almost suicidal. But what Wittmann and his crew did not know was that they were driving into a deadly trap. British and Canadian tanks, including the powerful Sherman Firefly, were positioned in the woods and behind stone walls on both sides of their advance. At a range of over 700 meters, the Allied tanks opened fire simultaneously. The Firefly's upgraded gun was able to penetrate the thick frontal armor of the Tiger. Wittmann's tank and 3 others were hit by heavy fire and quickly destroyed. A Canadian soldier recalled seeing a terrible explosion and the turret of Wittmann's tank being blown completely off. No miracle happened. Michael Wittmann, the Black Baron, a legend of the German army, was dead. Throughout his military career, Wittmann was credited with the destruction of 138 tanks and 132 anti-tank guns, thanks to his immense courage and extraordinary tactical talent. How do you, the audience, evaluate the man and the achievements of the Black Baron? Besides Michael Wittmann, what other armored commanders in military history deserve the title of Ace? Don't hesitate to leave your opinion below. For now, goodbye and see you in the next video.